cannot be denied that the United States is an Olympic powerhouse. It's really unbelievable. As of the time of recording this video, America has won nearly 3,000 Olympic medals all time, including both Summer and Winter Olympics. The next closest was the Soviet Union, and they don't even exist anymore, and they only had about 1,200 anyway, so it's not even close. That said, there are events where somehow the USA has never taken home the gold, so let's count down some of those events today. Number 7, field hockey. First introduced for the men at the 1908 Olympics in London and later for the women in 1980 in Moscow, field hockey is a globally popular sport with a long Olympic tradition, but the United States is yet to take home a gold medal in the event. In fact, the US has just 2 medals all time in the event. First, they won a bronze for the men in 1932, but it's hard to legit call this a medal because only 3 teams competed in the event at all, so they were guaranteed a medal. And the second medal was a bronze on the women's side, but that was all the way back in 1984, and it was at the boycotted games in Los Angeles. So what are the prospects for a gold medal here in the near future? Well, it's hard to say. I'm not exactly the most knowledgeable field hockey guru in the world, surprising, I know, right? But the men's side has been dominated by European nations for the last 20 years or so, and the women's side has got huge strengths from the Netherlands, Argentina, Great Britain, New Zealand, and India, so it may be tough for America to crack through to the gold. I won't make any predictions about the gold in the upcoming games or really any Olympics in the future, as I am notoriously bad at making calls like that. If anyone knows their stuff in field hockey, please leave it in the comments. Number 6, modern pentathlon. This was first introduced at the 1912 Olympics in Stockholm, so it's been on the program for more than a century at this point, but the US is still waiting on its first gold medal. As a reminder, the modern pentathlon, as the name suggests, is made up of 5 different individual disciplines: fencing, freestyle swimming, equestrian show jumping, pistol shooting, and cross-country running. It was modeled after the skills required of a soldier at the time, so that's a fun bit of history. It's not like the US hasn't been close or competitive in this event. They've won several silver and bronze medals in the discipline, most recently a silver medal on the women's side at the 2000 Olympics in Sydney. But that means that the US hasn't won a single medal in this event for nearly a quarter of a century, which feels weird given how dominant an Olympic force the United States is. I gotta figure it's just a matter of time until the US gets back on the board with the modern pentathlon. Each of the individual events are ones where the US is quite strong and quite competitive, so it stands to reason that some athlete wearing the stars and stripes will eventually break through. Number 5, trampoline. This is the first of 2 gymnastics events on the list today, and I gotta say I was blown away that the US had never won a gold medal in the trampoline before. The United States is unbelievably dominant in gymnastics with such a long, proud tradition of outstanding gymnasts, even some of the world's most famous gymnasts with record-breaking performances, and especially on the women's side. To have 0 gold medals on the trampoline surprised me. You know what makes it even more surprising? Trampolining was invented by an American. Yeah, that's right, American gymnast George Nissen, way back in 1934, noticed how trapeze acrobats were performing tricks while bouncing off safety nets, so he came up with a prototype to recreate their cool moves. This lack of wins is partially explained by the fact that this is a relatively recent addition to the Olympics. First appeared at the 2000 Olympics in Sydney for both the men and the women, and the sport only joined the International Gymnastics Federation in 1998, just 2 years earlier, so it's got a short history. But in that short history, the sport has been somewhat dominated by Chinese gymnasts who, at least prior to the Paris 2024 Olympics, have won 14 of the 36 total medals handed out all time, including 4 golds. That said, given the gymnastics capabilities of the US, I gotta figure this is a question of when, not if, one of them breaks through for the gold. Just a quick pause here to say I love doing these Olympics videos, I really do. And if you're enjoying this one, I'd love it if you consider liking the video and subscribing to the channel. It helps me out a ton with our YouTube overlord, so thank you in advance. All right, back to the list. Number 4, rhythmic gymnastics. I told you there was a second gymnastics event on the list, and without further ado, here it is. First recognized as a sport by the International Gymnastics Federation in 1963, it first appeared at the Olympics in 1984 in Los Angeles with an individual all-round competition. A team all-around competition was added in 1996 for the Atlanta Olympics as well. For those who aren't super familiar with this event, gymnasts perform on a floor with some sort of apparatus like a ball, a hoop, a ribbon, something like that. It combines gymnastics with other elements like dance and calisthenics, and at the international level, it's one of the few sports that only holds competitions on the women's side. The fact that this is only participated in by women obviously cuts in half the number of opportunities for a gold medal for any country, including the US. So that's a partial explanation for the gold shutout so far, but it's still super surprising to me because, as mentioned before, the US is crazy good at gymnastics. While the competition in this event has become more international over time, the history of this event is one of absolute train-wrecking dominance by the Soviet Union and other Eastern Bloc countries. That being said, it's a growing sport in the United States, and I think it's highly likely, just like trampolining, that the US eventually gets a gold here too. Number 3, table tennis. If there ever was a sport where pretty much every country is playing for silver, it's table tennis. When it comes to table tennis, they don't call it China, they call it Daddy. China owns table tennis, full stop. At the time of recording, of the 37 gold medals that have ever been handed out in table tennis, 32 of those gold medals have gone to Chinese athletes. China has won 60 total medals in table tennis since its introduction in 1988, and the next closest is South Korea with 18, and in third is Japan with 8. I'm telling you, it is not even close. So it's not surprising that the United States is yet to win a gold medal in this event. But what's even more surprising is that the US hasn't even won a single medal in this event ever. It's hard to believe that there are sports where the US hasn't even medaled all time, but it's true, and this is one of them. With some of the other sports and events on today's list, it seems inevitable, or at least highly probable, that the US will eventually win a gold medal, maybe as soon as the next Olympics. But when it comes to table tennis, I am not super optimistic at all. That said, I never say never when it comes to anything, and table tennis is definitely becoming more popular as a competitive sport in America, so hey, anything is possible and hope springs eternal. Number 2, handball. This is such a great sport, and it's a crying shame that it's not more popular in the United States, because I think folks in America are really missing out. And I don't just mean missing out on a gold medal, because that's definitely missing, but I just mean missing out on a good bit of fun and entertainment. It's funny because growing up in Canada, I think we have something similar to the US in the sense that what we called handball was slapping a ball against the wall with an open palm. Let me know in the comments if that brings back some schoolyard memories for you. Anyways, the indoor handball that we're talking about here was introduced at the 1972 Munich Olympics for the men and in 1976 in Montreal for the women. And ever since then, not only has the US never won a gold here, they are still without a handball medal, period, just like table tennis. This is a resoundingly European event, at least in terms of bringing home medals, as countries like France, Germany, Romania, Sweden, and Spain seem to be the most successful. In fact, if you look at the all-time medal table in handball, other than a little bit of Soviet Union/Russia success and a single South Korean medal, it's all Europe throughout all time. So could the US break through here for a gold or at least a medal? Sure, it's got to be possible, but probably not until the sport gains a bit more momentum and investment within the United States. Number 1, badminton. Last on today's list, but certainly not least, is the esteemed sport of badminton, where the US not only is lacking a gold medal, but like handball and table tennis, they have yet to win a single medal ever. Just as handball seems to be a European-dominated event at the Olympics, badminton is an Asian-dominated event, for sure. The majority of the medals since the sport's Olympic debut in 1992 have been won by countries such as China, Indonesia, South Korea, and Malaysia. It's fortunately not as one-sided like table tennis, I will say that, but thematically the gold medals in this sport are owned by a very small pool of countries, and one of them is not the United States. The good news for those hoping for an American gold medal in this event is that there are a few different ways to do it, as there are both men's and women's events, as well as singles, doubles, and mixed doubles events on the card. And the US has been sending between 3 to 6 representative athletes in badminton since the event was first created, so surely the US can find 1 or 2 amazing badminton players in the population of nearly 350 million people and get a gold on the board, right? Right? I think so. Well, there you have it. What a fun list today. That was great. To be clear, in no way am I knocking the US for not winning gold medals in these events. It was much more of a compliment to the US because I can't believe that there are still events left that they haven't won yet. They're so darn good at Olympicking. Is that even a word, Olympicking? I doubt it. Whatever. Anyways, let me know your thoughts in the comments below, and we will be talking more soon.